It was the night before Valentine's Day, and at Acme Lab, Pinky was in his cage watching the TV that the scientists have left on. After seeing all the shows and ads for the holiday, the poor mouse wished that he had something like that, but all Brain cared about was taking over the world. Just once he wished that they could have one night to themselves. That was all he was asking for. Before closing up the lab, one of the scientists had to do one last thing. He grabbed a small bottle as well as a syringe and opened up the cage that had Brain inside and gave him the shot. Brain was more upset about getting interrupted than by whatever he was being given. After the scientist put him back in the cage, Brain went back to work. As the night went on, Pinky did a little cleaning while his friend was still working on his ideas, but Brain had begun to notice side effects of the medicine he was given. His body heat was through the roof, and he couldn't stop sweating, and he was getting a headache that kept getting worse. Falling to his hands and knees, Brain worried that he was dying. He couldn't die now. He never got to finish his goals. This really scared him. His body started to grow weaker until he finally threw up and passed out.
Brain? Brain?
10 minutes passed by and Brain finally woke up. Luckily, he didn't feel sick anymore, but when he opened his eyes, the room was spinning like crazy and he kept hearing someone call his name. He wished they would just shut up and give him a moment. After everything calmed down, Brain looked up to see Pinky standing over him, worried about his friend. When Brain saw him, he started to feel strange. Something about the details of Pinky's face. His eyes, his ears, his nose and his teeth. He looked so cute.
Oh, Brain, are you all right?
Pinky asked as he put a cold washcloth over Brain's forehead.
I'm fine. It must have been something from that shot that the lab worker gave me,
Brain replied as he was getting up. He was still dizzy and almost lost his footing, but luckily Pinky grabbed him just in time. When Brain looked up, he saw his friend's eyes start to twinkle from the light.
Oh, Pinky, your eyes are so beautiful.
Pinky was in shock. Brain had never said anything like that before, and Pinky wasn't sure if he was being serious.
Oh, thank you, Brain,
he said, a little confused. As he helped his friend back to bed, there were more things that Brain noticed.
Oh, Pinky, you're so kind to me. I'm grateful to have a friend like you.
Once again, Pinky was dumbfounded. Normally, Brain would complain about not being able to work, but this was different, which left him to wonder if he finally got his wish. The next morning, Pinky woke up to the smell of delicious pancakes being freshly made. When he looked over to see where it was coming from, he saw Brain wearing a chef's hat and a table set for breakfast. Seeing this, Pinky wasn't sure if he was still dreaming. His friend never did anything this nice unless it was for a project.
Oh, Pinky, you're awake. Good. Breakfast is all ready for you,
Brain said. As Pinky sat down at the table and tried the food, he was shocked at how good it was. But as he was eating, he noticed that Brain was sitting right in front of him, giving him love-struck eyes. Pinky was getting a little uncomfortable about it. I mean, he did wish for Brain to pay attention to him more, but this was starting to get scary. All throughout Valentine's Day, poor Pinky couldn't get a moment's peace. Everywhere he went, Brain was there giving him chocolates, flowers and cards. It seemed like the longer the day went, the crazier Brain got. This had to stop. But how? That night, as the lab was about to close, Pinky finally lost Brain, which left him so relieved. As he went to his cage to get some sleep, he noticed something odd. While he was laying in his bed, he felt like he was being watched. As he turned around, Brain was standing there with a big, creepy smile on his face.
Brain, what are you doing?
Oh, well. I thought since Valentine's Day is nearly over, we could, snuggle.
The mouse was in horror. This was really crossing the line. He jumped out of bed and ran out of the cage and locked the door behind him. He hoped that this would keep Brain on hold until he turned back into himself. But then Brain used his tail as a key to unlock the door. Pinky freaked out and made a run for it. Almost all night, Pinky did whatever he could to get away from Brain. But wherever he went, his friend seemed to know where he was, and followed him by hopping up and down on all four legs like a deer.
Oh, Pinky! Oh, Pinky! Where are you, my love? Come on, one little snuggle won't hurt, will it?
Pinky hid between a wall and a few books, just praying that Brain wouldn't find him. He was so scared that he started to cry, even though he was trying to be quiet. But it was too late. Brain found him and Pinky screamed, begging his friend not to do this. This wasn't him. This was never him. But Brain wouldn't listen. But just as Brain was about to attack, the lights came on in the lab. One of the workers forgot to do something. The mice quickly ran back to their cage before he could find out that they were gone. Right as they got back to their cage, the lab worker opened it and grabbed Brain, shooting him with another dose of something that they were working on. As he was put back in the cage, Brain started to feel dizzy and sick again, which left Pinky worried about what his friend would become now. The next morning, Pinky heard someone calling his name in a not too pleased tone. Before he got a moment to open his eyes, he felt someone pushing him off the bed. When he turned around, he saw Brain, not looking too happy. But when Pinky saw him like that, it left him so grateful that he gave Brain a big hug, which just made him very confused.
Oh, Brain, I'm so glad you're back. Whatever those people gave you made you into this person I didn't know. I mean, at first you were sweet, but then you became clingy, and then you... Oh, I'm just so glad you're back.
After hearing all this, his friend was dumbfounded. He thought that it was all just a weird dream that he'd had, but realised that it had been real, and after seeing how happy Pinky was to see him, it made him glad that he was back to normal. Pinky was his only friend, and he wouldn't dare to hurt him in that way. With Valentine's being a disaster, Brain made it up to Pinky by going out for a fun day with just the two of them.